Welcome to the first episode of Comics2Movies and more. We have my co-host here, Stephen Gock, and our guest, which if I point the right way, no, I'm going to get there and eventually. We've got Kieran Nunn from Halftone Productions. Hey guys, how you going tonight?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. It's going to be
Shaun.
Interesting first night. As always, the very first thing that happens is my internet goes down 5 seconds before we're about to go live. So that's always always fun. But we thought how the show's format would work is we would talk about a recent movie or a movie that we've all seen. I'm going to talk about some projects that I've got going on at the moment. And then we're lucky enough to have Kieran here, and he's going to talk about some of his projects and everything that he's got going on in the works. So how is everyone going in this COVID-19 world at the moment?
Yeah, busy.
I'm at home most of the time, so it's actually I'm getting ahead with a lot of projects, which is really good. Kieran?
Yeah, it's been great. It's been good to be able to sit in the studio and work away on new projects and previous projects and Kickstarters, and yeah, it's been really, really useful actually to have everything stop.
I have to agree. I think I've gotten more done in the last 4 to 6 weeks in regards to my business, in regards to things around the house, and everything. I think it's really slowed me down in regards to working on what is necessary rather than trying to do 100 things at once and fill, my day with absolutely everything type of thing. So.
Yeah, it gives us that perfect opportunity just for the world to stop and be able to jump in and go, okay, where do I need to go from here? What do I need to do to get ready? Because basically we've lost a year in the sense of conventions and getting out there amongst the crowd. But at the same time, we've kind of got this chance to really, okay, let's make as much content as we possibly can.
100% agree with you guys. Look, I don't do the convention circuit as much as both of you. Actually, unfortunately, it's not. My weekends, I've got a little girl, as I think some of you guys know. So my weekends is really taking care of her, so I don't get much weekends to myself. But yeah, I've kind of feel for you guys because I know you guys do the convention route. So what's your plans for this year with that out of the way?
Kickstarter.
Kickstarter. Just post it on social media. Hopefully that gains a new audience. Pretty much. That's probably about it.
Yeah. I think it's made me look at trying to differentiate my streams of income. I think I solely focused on conventions, and I think when you put all your eggs in one basket, that's never a good thing. And I know, Stephen, you've tried to tell me that for a while, and it wasn't until this kind of happened that I was like, should have listened.
Definitely. Oh, look, just anybody who's actually watching this now, if you want to add a comment, like, subscribe, please do so. We'll be chatting. But if you drop a comment in the YouTube, we'll be more than happy to answer your comments. So, look, let's talk Skywalker.
Yes.
To the guest, Kieran, what do you think? Rise of Skywalker.
Throw me in the deep end. Look, I am very against the whole new saga. I feel as though they didn't have a navigational point they wanted to take the saga, and they were very quick to the mark after Disney had bought it. And I think that their idea was like, we need to make money back off this purchase, which was at the time a huge amount. Like from the top of my head, I think it was over 6 billion or 6 million, something like that.
Yeah, some crazy amount.
Some ridiculous amount of money. So I think they've gone in thinking we need to make our profit back off what we've just purchased, and they've rushed these movies out with actually giving them a lot of thought and a lot of time. As the years have gone past, I've heard rumors about there was scripts written by Lucas himself, and it's been ignored. There's so many rumors. At the end of the day, they just weren't the films that I grew up with, that I loved as a child and as a teenager and now as an adult. So I still love Star Wars, but I feel as though this trilogy has made it a little less love for me on that depressing note.
What about Rogue One? I know Rogue One kind of slotted in between the two. What was your take on Rogue One? Because Disney's plan was basically trilogy, standalone, trilogy, standalone, trilogy, standalone. What was your take on Rogue One?
I liked Rogue One. It was a darker film, which I think that it was an adult Star Wars film, which I feel as though the adult fan base had been asking for a long time. And Star Wars is for children. Lucas has always said that. So my take from Rogue One, it was fantastic. It didn't feel like a cohesive film saying that, because I felt very choppy and changing, and I have heard there were two directors on board that were kind of coming in and stepping away from it. So it makes sense. And Solo, the same again. Like, it was a fun film, a lot of fun, but it felt very clunky in the sense of the directing style and the navigation of the narrative.
I think for me,
Zach's comment there, the fact that they threw out the law did them no favors. Being a massive Star Wars fan myself and loving that expanded universe, that was the one thing I kind of struggled to get my head around. I really enjoyed all that expanded universe. So for them, Disney, to take over and kind of go, yep, that no longer exists. That no longer is part of what you have spent the last 20 years collecting, reading, spending all this time on, was the part that I kind of really, really struggled with as well. But in regards to Rise of Skywalker, I didn't think it was that bad for me, because as part of the trilogy, I thought it did round out the story and I could see where they were going with each of the characters. Was it great? Definitely not. Was it, J.J. Abrams' fault? I don't really believe so. I think, there was a lot behind the scenes, as you said, Kieran, that was going on that we probably won't know for another 10 or 15 years until they do a documentary on it, type of thing, and everyone was going, I knew that was right, yeah, type of thing. But I kind of liked how JJ kind of took the second film that shall not be named in that trilogy, and kind of tried to tie it up as much as he could. I don't think you're ever going to please Star Wars fans unless you gave it to Dave Filoni. Like, man, he should just take over Star Wars, in my opinion. Mandalorian, I've rewatched Rebels with my little girl. I've gone back and watched the last season of Clone Wars now. And man, he has gotten my love back for Star Wars, because before that I wasn't feeling it.
Yeah, I hear you, man. That's exactly the same way about Dave Filoni. Should have been doing this a while ago. Should have been involved. More hands in the pudding would have been a better outcome for all the fans.
No, 100% agree. With Rise of Skywalker, I suppose the one part of it which irked me a bit was the ending. And fortunately for you guys watching, spoilers. So if you want to tune up for the next 2 minutes, feel free to. But I don't think the ending was deserved, and it never built up to it. Like, when Lando came back and suddenly he had, 1,000 ships behind him and all the worlds helping him out. That was never shown. Like, Rey never really visited other worlds. There was no other aliens. There was a couple of people who did, turn up. And the thing is, in the second movie as well, when they sent the distress signal out, nobody came. So what's changed from the second, when nobody came, to now suddenly everybody turned up? You know what I mean? Compare that to, say, Avengers Endgame, when, 10 years into the movie making, and then the final scene where you hear the, on your left, and then when the portals start opening, and these are characters you actually know, popping through one by one, Black Panther, the Wakandan army, and they started coming through. You get the chills, you get tingles. This is the big moment that's going to happen. Rise of Skywalker, just didn't do that. It was, wow, all these ships suddenly just turned up, and they also did the what I found, the cheat mechanic. Oh, none of the ships can attack because we have a navigational a widget that had to be destroyed before anything could work. It's a bit. You have 1,000 ships there. Are you telling me all of them are useless unless you get to navigate out? and I just felt it wasn't deserved. And the last part, which I got to me, was when Rey started hearing all these voices in her head, when before she took down the Emperor. They actually use, I think, Shaun, you know this, they use Ashoka's voice actress, as one of the voices in there. They use Samuel Jackson bits and pieces. But if you just watched the movies and didn't get to the extended universe, you've missed out because, you know what I mean? It's an Easter egg that's there, but it's not for, it wasn't deserved, I don't think. And I know you have a different thought on this. Yeah.
Yeah, I did see that Quentin there said The Last Jedi was the best. I was not going to name that film, but he's made me say it on air now. I knew this this episode was going to throw us straight into the deep end to begin with, in regards to Star Wars and dividing fans and everything. But we've got another question here from Zach. So, what do you guys think they'll do now? No more keeping up with the Skywalkers, ha ha ha. For me, I think it is maybe a better option that they have ended that Skywalker series, because everything from the books to the comic books and everything that was created was always around the Skywalkers, kind of saying that they were the focal point in the whole universe. So being a Star Wars fan, I'm actually kind of excited to turn around and think, okay, well, this universe is so big, there's plenty of other characters to create, plenty of other stories to tell, and we don't have to solely focus on the Skywalker family. So, Mandalorian Season 2 is shaping up to be, I think, phenomenal. They're already signed on for Mandalorian Season 3, my understanding is. And then we've got the High Republic in regards to the comics for the expanded universe. So whether they start doing some movies in there, and then we've got the New Zealand director. Please don't make me try and say his name. Help me out there, Stephen.
I don't dare, but he did Ragnarok. The Ragnarok guy.
There we go. Thank you, Kieran. He's got his own movie as well, so that should be pretty cool. So, what do you guys think?
I think straight off the bat, you've also got Obi-Wan Kenobi series that's going to be directed by Deborah Chow. She's going to be taking charge of that series on Disney Plus. We've also got the Rogue One spin-off series, which I think is going to be great. It's going to be a kind of a prequel to the Rogue One film. It's going to have K2SO and I can't remember his name now. It's going to annoy me. But it's going to have characters we're familiar with. It'll have Saw Gerrera, who's become a really big part of the Star Wars lore since then, and Rebels and Rogue One and Clone Wars. Actually, he was in Clone Wars, his first appearance was. So they're taking the characters that we know of, and they're fundamentally placing them in spots where we know there's a story to be told. And from that, they're expanding. So I think that's where we're going to get our stories for the next few years. And then past that, we may see these films of the Fall of a Republic. We might see the Mandalorians versus the Jedis. Look, there's so much history with it.
I want Knights of the Old Republic. Please give me Darth Raven, man.
Exactly.
Or Darth Bane, please, any of those, throw those back. But this comment, I know Stephen's going to love, because he's a sci-fi geek and IT nerd. So, Fallen Idols, you have done a great job there. I love that.
I'm going to address this. Hi, Fallen Idols. Thanks for dropping the comment. It's a vacuum. It's momentum. It doesn't slow down. My main gripe with that portion of The Last Jedi, it was false tension. It was really false tension. Look, I'm happy with suspension of disbelief. I'm happy if space has fuel. I'm happy to accept a lot of things. But it was the false tension that got to me. It's like, what can we do to keep the audience on edge, but not really keep them on edge? Let's have them run them off field, and let's have them just that little bit away from the main cannons where they can't be stopped. That little bit too far. And look, don't get me too much. I'll get stuck on it.
He's triggered.
I know.
The Fallen Order was absolutely outstanding. Have any of you played it? And if so, where do you think the game will go? I have started playing it, but I've just moved into my my house, so I kind of haven't got around to actually finishing the game. So I'm really looking forward to finishing that. So if you guys have played it and finished it, let me take off my headphones because I don't want to know the ending to the game. So yeah.
Nah, it's not on Switch, so unfortunately I haven't played it.
Stephen, how about you?
No, I haven't. I wish I had time. I'll add it to my list of things. Look, I've got more shows than I have hours now. I've got I've just got so much backlog I haven't touched.
I gotta say, my dad, my dad stayed over for the last couple of weeks, and for a couple of days each week, since the restrictions have been lifted, and we got the 30-day Amazon Prime free trial. Man, that was a bad mistake because I thought I had a lot to watch before that. I have so much on my watch list to try and get through in that free month.
I know. Look, let's talk about your XCT now. Like, I think if we go down this rabbit hole with Star Wars, I think we'll start dividing people, and there'll be lots of arguments coming out. So let's look at your XCT. Let's bring that up.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, give me 2
because
seconds.
I've actually got a few questions about it. I would love, and in a public forum, I'd love to ask you. Besides Spartacus, what was the inspiration behind it? You know, why a future Gladiator story? Why didn't I know you got Talos, which is a Talos or Sparta, which is a production you have, which is set in the correct time period. Why put Gladiators in the future?
Yeah, well, for me, I'm a big UFC fan, so the idea actually came to me one night after watching the John Bones Jones fight. He's one of the champions in the UFC, so light heavyweight champion. So I was watching that, and then the next day was the last episode of the Spartacus War of the Dam series to air. And I just kind of came to me. I was like, I wonder how Spartacus would have gone, in the UFC. Would he be that good of a fighter, or just during that period was he, kind of good? And that kind of got the juices flowing, and had me kind of really thinking about other characters. I've always been interested in history, and I was like, that's what kind of set this ball in motion, and then I've used Kickstarter to kind of produce each of the books.
And for XCT, and this is something look, for anything I write, what's your ending? Do you have an end game? Do you have a point where, if you look at Robert Kirkman's Walking Dead, he kind of knew where it was going to end, and he also knew that Rick wasn't going to make it to the end. Do you have something? No spoilers if you don't want to, but do you have that in your head? Is Spartacus going to make it to the end, or do you have it planned?
Definitely have an ending. My whole issue with a lot of the current comic book series out there, and ones that have actually been running for quite some time, is when you don't have a beginning, a middle, and an end of a story, then there is no character development. So you can't have Spider-Man go through all this stuff and then just reset him and have him be the exact same person he was 60 years ago. So when I started out on this series, it was definitely with an ending in mind, or I've actually got the definite ending that I want, and it's just the journey of how we're going to kind of get there. So, I was very open and honest with Ben Rosenthal, who's helped me write the series and has taken over most of the writing duties since our last graphic novel, and I was very upfront with him, saying, well, these are the story arcs I want to tell, but this is the ending that we need to get to. So as far as I know, he's the only other person I've told. I probably have spilled the beans to one or two close friends, but he's the only one that other than myself that knows the true ending of the series. So
okay. So let's talk this particular Kickstarter though. You know, what are you raising the money for? What is this volume about? And you know, how big is it? Tell the people about it.
Yeah, well, I guess to start off with, we're raising $5,000. We've got 11 days to go. The $5,000 is going to go towards finishing off the colouring of the book, lettering the book, and printing the book. So usually when we do Kickstarters, we don't go for goals that high. We do some smaller goals and only do goals for printing. But as we spoke about before with all of us, the COVID-19 has hit. We haven't had the income stream from conventions. So I've actually turned to Kickstarter as my source of being able to kind of get out there and raise some funds in regards to this book. So as Kieran was saying, I really wanted to use this time to create more stuff. So I wanted to make sure that, you know, after all this is finished, that when I go to a show, I don't have the same stuff that I had 12 months ago. So being able to create and keep creating is great. And yeah, I'm not as talented as Kieran. He's able to kind of do everything himself. He's absolutely amazing. So you know, I've surrounded myself with some really talented people, and you know, I've always been a firm believer that you need to pay people for the work that they do. So Kickstarter is my way of doing that. So
okay. So let's scroll down. Let's look at your campaign. Let's do a bit of a deep dive here.
Yep. So, okay. So nitpick away. So we this is my 10th Kickstarter. So I'm trying to get better as I go. But you know, you've given me a good hand on this, Stephen. So we've just got a bit of a log line there in regards to the series, which is history's greatest figures of myth and legends have been brought back to life to fight and die. Just tells a little bit about the story. So that it's a 64 full-page coloured graphic novel, and that it's a new graphic novel in an ongoing series. We've got a picture of the standard cover, which is done by Alex Malyshev, who's a Russian artist. It's a bold new direction of the series. So most of the series so far has all the actions taken part inside the arena. So this is a really good point for people that if they haven't read the series and don't want to read the rest of the series, they can just jump on at this point and read forward because it is set outside of the arena. So there is a little bit of a time jump to begin the series. So people can pick up the series from here and move forward. So which is really, really kind of cool and exciting. Then we've just got the first 5 pages, so fully lettered, so people can see exactly the story, getting a feel for the story and the artwork, and whether they like that. I think that's a good option. I was always a type of person that didn't want to show too much, and by doing that, I think I kind of hindered myself. So now I try and put up as much as possible in regards to artwork and storyline and everything like that. So.
Oh, look, actually, I've just got a text message come through. The Brian Lim, so he's the guy who did some of your work below. So if you scroll down a bit lower, I think Brian's going to come on, and I was just going to show you some of the stuff he did. And by the way, I really like this. So you've got some really awesome rewards, some variant covers. Let's see.
That's the creative team.
Yep. So we can go back to it. But I know Brian, he just texted me. He's just basically said he's on and he's watching this now. So if you scroll all the way down, and I think you should include this in all your Kickstarters. I think it looks really awesome. So all the way down. Here it is. So Brian helped put some of the graphics involved in this. So Brian Lim's a Malaysian artist. So he's watching now. Hi, Brian. Just drop the link in the comment. Like, subscribe.
Thank you so much,
Brian. So I think this is brilliant. Because when I saw you put these points in, I thought, oh man, this is great. We are Australian. I think all of us here are Australian. So man, if you're from the US, it's not 30, 35% now. You get close to 40% discounts, 40, 45% off. So, and Brian's done some really cool little neat graphics. And then, it tells people, you can pledge early, it doesn't affect it. You've got, if you make the goal and if you break the goal, we're going to go to more stretch goals. So if you scroll down a bit more. And Quentin, I'll get to your question straight after this one. And then you've got a, Kickstarter doesn't take your money, and, to answer any questions. So look, I think I'm going to steal this, by the way. So then new campaign I'm doing, I'm copying exactly the same thing because I think it's really good. And I think,
has anyone
Brian,
ever stolen the things to remember that might be on this Kickstarter?
It's awesome. I think it's a really good idea. To answer Quentin's question, though, and hi Quentin, thanks for tuning in. Me personally, I'm on 2 different platforms. I'm on Indiegogo and I'm on Kickstarter. What I tend to find is that the audience between both platforms are actually pretty different. Like Kickstarter really favors Facebook and Facebook engagements. Indiegogo is much more Twitter engagements. So it is a very, very different crowd. And the way you appeal to the different crowds is actually, you got to market differently. But the good thing about it, because it's 2 different crowds, 2 different platforms, basically you can appeal to 2 different audiences, which I think it's fantastic. I love the fact that you can appeal to more than one audience. And I think it's fantastic.
Have you done an Indiegogo campaign, Kieran?
Oh, we can't hear you.
We can't hear you, mate. No, still can't hear you, buddy. We've lost you.
You there? Hello?
Yes. There we go.
Now we go.
All right. Yeah, I haven't done one before, but I am planning on doing one very soon. Like, in a month.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, put myself through that stress, so...
Well, we'll ask you about that again then. For myself personally, Indiegogo wasn't around when I ran my first Kickstarter, so I'm not sure whether many people know this, but I actually ran my first Kickstarter within 2 weeks of Kickstarter being released in Australia. So I was one of the first comic funded Kickstarters here in Australia. So that was back in 2015. So I chose Kickstarter because Indiegogo kind of wasn't up to the platform and area it was now. And then I've just kept on using Kickstarter to not only keep my current audience, but kind of build a further audience. But working with Stephen and seeing how our co-created Terra Olympus Kickstarter has gone, it definitely is something I will definitely be looking forward looking into after I finish this Kickstarter with XCT Fractured World. So I think it's 100% correct that they're different audiences. I was always worried about, well, I don't want to do an Indiegogo campaign because I'm just going to be, catering to the exact same people. But it's about knowing where each audience is and also tailoring your rewards to those different audiences. So really good question, Quentin. So
and what and this could help you a bit, Kieran, as well. What I did find is on Indiegogo, they like original art a lot better. They like the tiers which have original art. And what I find is in Kickstarter, it's not as much. Kickstarter seems to like digital artwork, digital and PDFs a lot more.
Yeah.
But in Indiegogo, man, you put a nice looking piece of original art. I'll give you some numbers. So I did Wordsmith 2, and Wordsmith 2 I had 4 pieces of original artwork, which was, up for grabs. I had close to, I think, over 300 backers in Kickstarter, and 2 of the 4 original artwork sold on Kickstarter. So that's 2 divided by 300. You can do the math. I ran a smaller Indiegogo campaign straight after Kickstarter finish. I brought the last 2 pieces which didn't sell across to Indiegogo. They both went and I only had about 40 backers. So you're looking, it's 2 out of 40. So the numbers are really, really different. And the 2 artworks actually got snapped up, I think, within the first week. So if you've got good original artwork, Indiegogo likes it a lot more than Kickstarter.
Yeah, okay, that's interesting. I wouldn't say good artwork, but it's artwork at that. So
No, your work is good. Don't sell yourself short.
You're talking to two guys that can't draw.
Yeah, man.
yeah, but I'm my own worst critic. So
It is so funny because I was talking to my mum about my Kickstarter the other day, and I'm like, it's going really well, and she's like, oh well, why do you need to raise so much money? I was like, well, I need to pay my artist, like he needs to. He's not going to just draw for free. Like I need to make sure I pay him. And Mum's like, oh, why don't you just draw? And I was like, Mum, it doesn't work like that. I can barely draw a stick figure. How am I going to draw a frigging comic book that people are going to want to buy? So, but yeah, it is interesting when you speak to people that are not in the comic industry, or even people that enjoy comics but don't know the workings of how creating comic books goes. That their perception is like so off the mark in regards to this process. And even like I was talking about paying my artists and paying the people that do the work, like even that is such a skewed view in regards to what they perceive is worth, type of thing. And you would know this yourself, Kieran, being a graphic designer and all that type of stuff on outside of what you do for your comics. Like, when you're trying to charge people for work and they're like, oh, that's a lot of money. And you're like, yeah, but that takes me 8 hours a day, 4 days out of a week to come up with, not only design, but change the design because, no one's ever happy the first time around. And trying to educate people around that is sometimes quite difficult.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll take a small deviation here because I want to hear from Kieran about this one, because you look on a lot of groups, a lot of forums. You always see this post pop up all the time. I'm a writer. I've got this magnum opus, 200 pages. It's fantastic. All I need is an artist to collaborate with me, and I'll give you 50-50. Not going to pay you. I'll give you 50-50. Why isn't anybody helping me out? How many of those have you got? You got to tell the stories. We need to hear some stories here.
Well, I mean,
no names.
I won't name.
No names, just stories.
But I mean, it comes up every now and again. You get someone an email you wanting to do a project, and it's all well and good, but at the end of the day, it's money talks. Money talks, and people will react to that. 50-50, no, that doesn't work. It doesn't work, especially the Kickstarter, because you might not make as much money, and then you're left high and dry, and you've done all the artwork for it. In a graphic design element, I still don't think people understand, or as a freelancing artist as well, people don't understand the time. Like, you send quotes out to people and they're quite shocked by it, and it's like, well, it's not done during a week. It might be done in an evening because you work a full-time job, or it's done on a weekend. You're taking time away from your own time to do this job. And it's very interesting. The reaction to some people are just, you get a cack out of it, really, at the end of the day.
There's a question from Darren for you.
What was that, sorry?
There's a question from Darren from you. Can you see it?
Yep. On average, how much time is spent drawing on a page of one of your comics?
Depending on the detail of that said page, it could be half a day to a day. That's penciling, inking, and digitally editing. So yeah, I'd say page now for me takes half a day. So you're looking at about 4 to 6 hours. And then originally when I started doing this, it was a day. It would take a full day to do a page. So it's
yeah. I know from Jerry, who was my original artist, and he works for Boom Studios, does a lot of storyboarding and everything, and even he was saying that he averages between 1 to 2 pages a day, 2 if they're less detail, but at least 1 a day. So for like when people are thinking about things, if you're talking about working at even Coles or something like that, that's a minimum of about $100 to $150 a day that you would kind of expect. So, and I see Fallen Idols here has said that for him it's between a week and a month. So, I guess depending on what art style you have, Shane Murphy, one of the artists that I work with for Comics to Movies, he does or uses charcoal, and I know it takes him about 6 to 8 weeks to do one image. So, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah, well, I mean, doing color and any other, I guess, non-digital process, it's going to take a lot longer, and that's just due to the craft itself.
So is all your stuff digital?
Sorry?
Is all your stuff digital?
No,
like your current?
No, so I still do mine traditionally. Excuse me. I still do my penciling and inking traditionally, and then I go in and I do my shading and halftone gradients all digitally. And if there's any editing that needs to be done. But yeah, so for yours, Shaun, I mean, like yours is colored now. Like the process in that as well would even expand it more so, wouldn't it?
Yes, so that's and it's expensive. So you know, as funny as my mum was saying in regards to wanting to do it yourself, it's a hell of a lot cheaper if you are either able to learn those skills or have those skills. So for me, whenever I did write something, I wrote something in a book format type of thing. So, because I'd never had any sort of training or anything around writing a comic script, and if people don't know, it's very, very different to writing a book, because the first comment I got when I was speaking to a friend about how to turn this into a script is, "You're way too descriptive. You cannot. What you would write in a book is not what you can put in a comic book script, because you just don't have the space and everything like that." So I usually paid someone to help convert my writings into a comic script. Then I would pay a penciler, an inker if it wasn't the same person, then colorist, letterer, and then someone to put it all together on top of that. So that can be quite an expensive, endeavor in regards to doing this, and that's why for the current Kickstarter we're looking at that $5,000 mark. So that kind of pays for the rest. I've already paid for almost half of it, so half the book's almost finished. So that'll just pay for the rest of the colors, the letters, and then printing the book type of thing. So
yeah.
So I'll give the final plug for thing. Look, please, if you're checking out, please do check out the latest XCT. It looks really, really good. The link will be in the comments below afterwards. At the end, we'll add it to the description, and we add the full video to YouTube. Please do check it out. Look, we're Australian creators. I'll be honest with you, we don't make a multi about this. It's actually it's more a passion. We do this because we want to get good stories out. And I have read all the other XCTs prior to this. It is a good story. It's there is character development. You do get sucked into the, oh my God, what's going to happen next? So please, if you can, do check it out. And, if you just want to read the digital copy, get the PDF. But if you want something to hold, please, go for the graphic novel. I know for a fact that Shaun prints it really nicely. So you're looking at really nice quality paper. It's smooth. It's not a floppy. It's not a floppy comic. It won't tear. If it goes on your shelf, it will stay on your shelf forever. It's a really good quality comic. Look, we've got 20 minutes. I'm going to throw it up to Kieran now. Look, I'd love to hear about your project. And I actually don't know too much about this project, so I actually want to hear more about it. What's the story? Is this the second one, or is this or the third one? Is it the
Fourth one?
Fourth one.
Oh man, I'm out of it. So look, tell us about it. Do you want us to play the video, or is the video?
Let's play the video, because it's always great to see.
Shaun, I'll have to get you back for that.
Sultry voice. That was fantastic, mate. I really liked the sultry voice that you used on that video. So,
Well, if you say so. Like I said, I'm my own worst critic, so may have been the third or fourth take of that audio when I was creating that. And look, those videos for me now. This is my ninth Kickstarter, so I have streamlined the process of making these very much. So I find that shorter it is, the better. And I feel as though I tend to obtain a better audience when I've got a shorter video to kind of have them go in and actually check out the Kickstarter rather than sit there and watch the video and make their decision with that way. I'd rather them actually go and do a bit more research on it.
the one thing that I thought was that I was quite impressed that you got so much in such short video. That's what I was impressed about when I watched that video. I was really impressed with how much information you were able to squeeze in, without like speaking 100 miles an hour and like people not being able to understand you and say it like this. Like, it was clear, it was calm, and it provided a lot of information about the series. But tell us some more.
Yeah, I mean, like the process in doing that was basically writing a script and putting it in front of me and going, okay, well, what do I need to tell people in this minute and a half process? What is the vital information? And so I put it down in point form and I just read it out. And I think I read it out like 4 times, and I just cut out what I didn't want to use. And basically that's the video. And that's been the video for the last 3 of them now. So it's really, really streamlined, really tight. I've got it to a point where I like it. Of course, I'll always improve upon it, but I'm my own worst critic. So I like to make sure that, it's the best it could possibly be. But going back to your question, Stephen, it's basically a story of life after death. I was raised as a Christian. I denounced my faith as a teenager, and I had some events happen in my life that kind of made me question religion and the likelihood of all-powered being God. And so this story comes from a very angst Kieran in the point of his life, and it tells the story of life after death. I'm fascinated with the idea of death as well. So I feel as though a lot of people hold on to the idea of trying to live forever. So it's kind of a lot of elements in my life personally that have reflected this story. And that's still being able to write a story that does have a touch of humor in it. But it also is a darker story as well than what it was from The Talking Bread, because The Talking Bread is a very lively, happy, funny, Looney Tunes style storytelling.
So yeah, who's the main character? Oh, sorry. You go.
So how much were you raising for this one?
So because, like you were saying before, Shaun, I do it all myself. I do have guest illustrators come in, so I like to pay them. But it's 1,500 we were aiming for. We knocked that out in the first day, which was really exciting. 16 hours, I think it was. So we've never, ever done that before. But the catch-22 to that was, excuse me, this time around we created a exclusive day one launch offer. So if you pre-ordered the comic on the first day, you got an exclusive illustration. So I do a little quick sketch on an A5 sheet of paper. It's an in purgatory piece of paper, and it's limited edition. You get that in amongst your reward. So all physical backers got that. So I think it was a total of 50 backers in the first day.
Wow!
So
that's
16. Yeah, it was pretty amazing to see how it went. This is the first time I'd ever tried anything like that, which it proved it worked. People do like to get stuff that's more personalized rather than being, a likes of a poster or a print. They like to get something that's really aimed towards them. That's been crafted and honed, I guess. So that was really well thought out. And I just threw that in there probably about 10 hours before the campaign started.
Oh, basically. Really? Wow.
I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to try this and see if it works. And it was literally spitballing an idea.
So is this the cover of the latest?
Yeah, so that's that's a stretch goal.
Okay.
So it's one of the stretch goals we've got for a short story that will be included as an extra 3 pages onto the comic. So Rui has illustrated this this cover for us for the Demon of Make Our Point, and I've got Matt Kime joining in to illustrate the pages for that.
Nice.
Yes.
Nice. So, how many pages is it?
It's 20 pages. The actual issue is 20 pages, but the new short story will be an extra 3 pages on top of that.
Perfect. And you said that was the fourth in the issue. These are the other in the series.
Yes.
Which one's the first one?
So the first one is Welcome to the Underrealm. So I'll wait for it to come back around. Yeah, so Welcome to the Underrealm's first one. Then we've got The Ghosts That Haunt Us, issue 2, Apocalypse Now and Then the Master of Puppets.
Perfect. And I'll ask you the same question that that Stephen asked me. Is this something that is going to be you've got an ending in mind, or is it an ongoing series, or what do you have in mind for this?
So this is this first part of the story arc is 12 issues. Then it has a conclusion. Then we come back into it for another 12. And that'll have a conclusion. Then you'll have the final chapter. So there's 3 chapters of this series. I have an ending, a middle, and a beginning. Did that around the wrong way, but basically, yeah, the story arcs are all self-contained, but they all follow through to one story.
Perfect. Nice.
Just on Darren's point,
Darren's just giving you a shout out there, Stephen. So.
Just on Darren's point, did you set up a pre-launch page for this one? Did you use that new feature?
Yes, I did. I think I had 10 followers on that before the campaign launched.
I think it's a great feature. You get notifications first, and the good thing about it is your pre-launch link is the same as your launch link. So any promotion you do prior to launching, it doesn't, it's not wasted as such.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to try it again next time around, just to see how, because I'll have this one the next one organized earlier, and see how it works out that way, having it organized to maybe a month in advance rather than a week before it launches.
Okay.
So people may not know, you've worked on quite a few Australian comics. What are some of the other ones that you've worked on?
My first series was The Talking Bread, which was a ridiculous idea to start off with. So it's basically a story of 18 slices of bread running around in Melbourne. That's basically how I pitch it. So that was the first series I did. That was 6 issues. We recently did another issue, which was just a collaboration between 12 other creators, which was called Rise of the Talking Bread.
And I've heard you've sold some ridiculous amount of that, like 7,000 issues of that. That'd be absolutely fantastic.
Well, yeah, we're fortunate enough between the first issue and Rise, we've sold 7,000 copies of The Talking Bread, which is a huge milestone. I've been tallying up all our numbers via the Square, so it's all credited numbers. So if anyone questions, that's all good. And also,
I'm gonna poke. Look, I've got to stop for a second. I'm gonna poke Shaun about this. Does that mean that Shaun no longer has the claim to the most selling books?
I use ongoing series in my title now, so
I'm just being a smart ass.
I know. But no, so and I can see that you've also done work for me. If people don't know, Kieran puts together all my books to go to print and everything. So he's really helpful in that, and I hope to work with him on some other stuff. Now, your brand is Halftone Productions. That started as a podcast. Now you've got The Talking Bread and In Purgatory that you do yourself, but are there other titles under your banner, or?
Yes. So Super 80 Battle Armor, who Bradley Aiden, who is the creator of that series, came on 3 years ago now, and we rebooted it. He originally had another artist that parted ways with him, and we obtained a new artist for the series. They're actually about to launch their Kickstarter for issue 3 on June the 10th. Which is exciting. We've been working very hard to get that organised and out. It's a little bit of a longer process for Brad to get his issues out, but it's well worth the wait for all the readers that enjoy the series. So that is that's up and coming. We're looking forward to getting that out. We have a few other projects with Super Rebel Army in the works at the moment, so we're looking to get those ready and out to the world. But also, whilst we've been in lockdown, I've been working on a few other series in the moment that will be coming out over the next couple of years, along with some other creators. But yeah, it's just an ongoing process, but not one that I want to rush to. I just want to continuously grow Halftone Productions at a very slow rate and see where it takes us, because the industry is always changing, and we don't know where we're going to go next. We've done podcasts. Halftone Productions has Halftone Effect podcast, which is basically what started it all, was talking to you guys and kind of building it from there. And I think as we continue to grow, it will change. It won't just be about comic books. It's going to evolve. We've already started doing merchandise for all of our comic books, which it proves that it sells. People enjoy plush toys, limited edition pins, stickers, whatever it may be in the sense of merchandise. They enjoy getting that kind of stuff. So I think that's just as important.
Yeah, I know. I was never one for pins, but you really sold me on that idea, and I was being surprised at how popular enamel pins have been. Yeah,
it's a massive market, and to tap in on that and do it for my own IP has been incredible in itself. I never imagined people wanting my comic book characters in pins or stickers or plush toys, and the response to that has been amazing. So it's like, well, I'll just keep doing this. If this is what people want, then, and they do. They really do enjoy it. And we try to make sure that the quality of product that we're putting out is top notch. We don't want it to be dodgy, or we don't want it to be not crediting to what we do. So we really do work hard to make sure we're getting the best stuff out to the people.
I do like how you've offered your whole collection in regards to rewards on there. So, guys, head over. We'll add the link into the comments as well. So check out In Purgatory. There's 4 issues out at the moment that you can get either digitally or in a bundle. So check that all out. There's some amazing add-ons as well. So have a look at Kieran's Kickstarter page, and help him get to his next stretch goal.
Yeah, thank you.
What's the feedback you've been getting for your couple of earlier series? Like, look, you sold 7,000. People must like it. So, what have they been saying about it?
It's strange because the Talking Bread is a hard sell, I find. The likes of conventions and selling it on Kickstarter especially, I found it a lot harder. You're pitching it as 18 slices of bread, and I find that people find that weird. And it's a weird story. It's definitely a cartoony style comic. It's not a superhero style comic or something you might pick up from Image or Dark Horse. So it's been a really hard pitch, and I get shocked by the amount we've sold, and it really does make me, it's a great feeling. Shaun, you know this from XCT, that it's a great feeling when you realize how many comics you've actually sold. In Purgatory, on the other hand, is an easy sell. It's basically people seeing a skull on a comic and like, that's my comic, I'm going to buy that.
It's funny that you say that, because like XCT, I felt like took me so long to build an audience for, yet I haven't even released Tellus of Sparta yet, and that's on our Kickstarter page already has over 1,000 likes on that Facebook page. Yep. Yes, there's 2 of us co-creating the series, so we both bring in a little bit of an audience ourselves. But still, like that's been quite, and we've had a lot of interaction on the page as well. It hasn't just been, we've got 1,000 likes and no one's interacting. It's like, people commenting, saying that they can't wait for the series, and we haven't even really shown that much yet. So it is interesting when it's the same people doing something, how one thing it can be like, you can barely say anything and it sells and it flies off the shelf. And then the other one, you really have to do your 30-second pitch and really, get them over the line type of thing. But Darren had just asked a question there as well. Do comic book artists, story writers get any funding from the government? There are grants that you can go for. Stephen, I think you're the best person to speak about this because you are the grant whisperer.
I've been lucky. I've been really lucky with grants. I've picked up about half a dozen now. Look, it's a good. All you need to do, it's a pitch. Basically, you're telling the Australian government why to invest in your work. And if you think about it, and look, when I first applied for grants, I did a horrible job of it. Absolutely, like the feedback I got basically ripped my application to shreds. But the mindset that you have to get into when you're applying for grant is, hey, invest in me, and why is my work worthwhile? And as soon as you can get that, like almost a business mindset into the grants, it makes it a lot easier. People have asked me, and look, I've been very forthcoming. If you ask me a question about grants, I've always open. I'm an open book. You ask me, I'm happy to help. It is not easy. You're competing against a lot of people, and sometimes
I've read that book he's provided me, and I still haven't got one.
Yeah, and look, I've given Shaun some of my applications some applications actually have won, and it's tough. It is seriously tough. It's right place, right time, and sometimes you just got to get lucky. And Shaun, I think one of the things which is easier is somewhat the grants I've won has been towards more kids' books. And I know there is that push towards, hey, look, if you're going to give money to make a book, it's to help children literacy. You can have that pitch, that play. Graphic novels, unfortunately, it's a little bit more difficult.
100%.
On to your other point, though, just about XCT and say Tales of Sparta, I think, and it's not a criticism, so please don't take it that way. But XCT is a more genre mix-up, as I mentioned. It's gladiators, it's future, it's cloning. It's a cool story, but it's much more of a mix-up. I think with Talos, it's a lot more pure, if you know what I mean. It is, hey, look, it is set in where it's set in ancient Greek. It's the story of this, and it's the Spartans. It's just that more a crystal tagline, a crystal. When you see it, you straight away know what the story is. With XCT, I think you need to dig a little bit more into it. And I think that's where you're getting your engagement for. And I think that's actually really difficult. And even for me, I fully admit, it's very difficult to get something which is so clean and so easy to reach out to people. And
I think really focusing on your title does that, and that was one thing I kind of really didn't kind of get until, I've been doing this for a little bit longer. So, like for Kieran, like In Purgatory, that is quite self-explanatory in regards to what the story is going to be about. Talus of Sparta. It's a guy, Talus, in Sparta. So it's pretty self-explanatory. Extreme Champion Tournament, as I said, I'll 100% take this on. It doesn't like what a championship of what, type of thing, but it's quite. Don't make me go back and rebrand my whole series, Stephen. I'll kill you. But you're 100% agree. Like, and I guess the more you do this, the better you get at certain things.
Yeah. But I can't see In Purgatory getting any government grants because basically it rips on religion. So
you might depends. You'd be surprised. You would seriously be surprised. It's the pitch. It's seriously the pitch. It's you gotta understand the audience and who you're pitching to. So
I can agree with that, man.
You just tell the government I'm writing this for children to explain this. Have it in libraries. It's really good for prepping up, and straight away, mate.
It's got sexual demons in it. It's got a soul. It's got that's going to go down real well when that funding comes through.
It is, and that's, I think that's the hardest thing. Like, Darren, when you're talking about government grants, is the government does look for certain things. So if you're telling an Australiana story, you're more inclined to probably get the funding than telling a story in any other country in the world, type of thing. So I guess it's all about kind of promoting Australia and either the state or town or whatever that you're from. So telling some grander stories that we kind of do does make it a little bit harder in regards to getting those grants. So.
And a lot of the grants also have preconditions on them. For example, there is a Vic grant where the money can only be used for Victorian creatives. There is New South Wales grants where you cannot put somebody outside of New South Wales on your team.
Wow.
And it makes sense. If I'm the New South Wales government or the Victorian government, why am I giving my grant money away to somebody in a different state?
Yeah.
I want my grant money to stay in state with the creatives that live in my city, in my state. I don't want to give the money to somebody else.
Yeah, that makes sense.
On Quinton's question, look, I work with both. And I'll get you guys onto this as well, but I'm not biased towards Australian or international. I'm biased towards good work. If somebody does really nice work, it looks good, it's professional, they do a good job. I've worked with Kieran before. He did some layouts for Terra Olympus. He did a really good job for that. It's whoever is best fit. So I'm not stressed too much about where they're from. I'm more stressed about the quality of their work. Shaun?
Yeah, for me, XCT, for example, the writer is from Adelaide, so I'm from Melbourne. Creators from Melbourne, writers from Adelaide. The artist is Russian and lives in Moscow. The colorist is from Singapore. And then my letterer was Norwegian, and I've just recently changed over to an Australian. So and then originally my first artist was American. So I'm 100% with Stephen. It's all in regards to the best work that I can get for my money. So there's certain budgets and restrictions that I have in place into creating these books. So it does come down to the quality of work for the dollar that I'm able to kind of pay. So when I've done anthologies, I've worked with New Zealand, America, Brazil. I've worked with a bunch of different creators, and they all have their plus sides and their negative sides. The negative side sometimes in regards to working with people overseas is when you use a lot of slang like I do. They have no idea what you're talking about or trying to draw. So, but the positive of that is you do seem to expand your network and your reach a lot further when you have people from other countries helping you with your series or stories. So how about you, Kieran?
Yeah, mostly all of it's been in Australia from this point. I've actually started collaborating with someone from America, which is exciting for a new project. But yeah, mostly it's been Australia, which I find it a lot easier to be able to talk to them in the same time zones and kind of work on a one-to-one basis, especially with people who I live close to. But yeah, I am looking outside of Australia because I've got a lot of people that have been in contact that want to work. And that doesn't mean I'm not going to stop working with Australians or people who are in the surrounding areas. Like we've got more issues in Purgatory coming up, and that means there's going to be more celebrity illustrators coming on board for that. And as the time goes by, there'll probably be more collaboration projects with other people.
Oh, look, I know we're coming to the hour, and I know we are going to sleep. It's 11 o'clock here for any of 40 from international watching. It's 11 o'clock in Australia, so the other thing I just quick mention is, look, anybody who wants to ask a question, just jump on the comments, add as many questions as you want. We'll be wrapping up soon, so if you add a question, we'll address it before we wrap up.
Yeah.
Just a quick shout out to Quinton though. So Quinton is a good guy, and he's about to launch he's just started work on his graphic novel, which is I won't spoil it. Hopefully we'll bring him on one day, but it's Wizard of Oz with a twist. I've read his script. It's great. I put the link in the comments. It's if you look on Facebook, Truth Media, you'll find him. Check out his page. Take a look through. What I'll do is I'll probably say, Kieran, I'll give you the last 5 minutes.
Oh, cool.
Why should people get in Purgatory before it runs out? You've got 11 days. Tell why it's fantastic.
Well, I mean, if you like dark, twisted tales, then Purgatory is right up your alley. It's a bit of weirdness in the comic book world. If you enjoy weird comic books, then you're going to definitely enjoy this one. We've hit our target, but that doesn't mean it stops. We've got stretch goals with another short story. We do have another stretch goal with a limited edition print done by Rui, and we also have pins and buttons to give away as well. So if we can reach all those targets, it means more for you guys, which is what we're trying to do. But yeah, it's basically, check it out on Kickstarter. It's in Purgatory, Master of Puppets. It's the 4th issue. It's an ongoing series, so you're guaranteed to get more stories after this one.
And Shaun, your XCT, your last, before we go to the questions?
So I've got 11 days left to raise $800. So if you like Vikings, Nightfall, The Last Kingdom, Spartacus, any of those TV series, any of those history dramas, then you'll love XCT. It's full of action. As I said, it's a great jumping on point for new readers with this graphic novel, and it is 64 pages, so it is a good chunk of a story. Please help, share, pledge. Once we hit our target, we've got some awesome stretch goals in the works as well to give you guys extra for your dollar.
Yep. It looks like there's only one question from Max, and one quick shout out to Max as well. Max is working on a Kings of Braylor series, which is, I'll use your tagline, Max. It's Game of Thrones with dragons, actual dragons being the characters. So he's been working with an artist called Jay Sloan on it. It's looking really good. Can't wait to see when it gets out. But the Max's question doesn't really relate to me too much, so I'm going to throw it to Shaun and Kieran to answer.
Go, mate. I'll let you go first, Kieran.
It's a kick in the teeth, but I am adapting with that. The biggest thing I find with this is the trying to pull people to the website, my own Halftone Productions at .com.au. That's probably the biggest pull to try and get people there. But doing the Kickstarters, I find that I've already gone above my sales for the month with that. So the more Kickstarters I do through the year, they're going to kind of weigh in on the profits. If you ask me that question at the end of the year, I'll be able to give you a better answer. But for now, it's been a struggle, but I'm adapting.
Yeah, for me, really May and June is about 75% of what I make in a financial year from comics to movies. So to have all of those shows being taken away has really, really hurt my business. But I've been lucky enough to get a few sales through my website, which is comics2movies.com.au. So I've been on a couple of live stream platforms, which has also helped booster things. And then Stephen and myself have both raised some money on Kickstarter for our series Terra Olympus. I've got XCT up at the moment, and then we'll have Tellus of Sparta and an art book up on Kickstarter by the end of the year. So I'm hoping that with the help and support and building an audience online and kind of diversifying how I raise my funds, that when the conventions do come back, I'm in a good position that I'm not just relying on the conventions for the income. So yeah.
We've got one more question before we round off. Yeah. Look, I'll give my one and I'll throw it back to you guys. Look, the best type of marketing, and this is more for an indie creator. So I'm not talking from a Coca-Cola perspective or whatever. I'm talking just from an indie creator perspective. It's slow and it's a lot of work. So the best way to do it, honestly speaking, is to reach out to people one-on-one. Just reach out. and just talk, say, hey, look, I like your work. Can we talk about it? And what you find is most other creators are just normal people, and they'll talk to you. They'll be happy to help you. And what tends to happen now is they'll start sharing your work, because if you put your work out there, especially as a new unknown creator, and people don't know who you are, there's no trust. It's like, oh man, are these, if I back his Kickstarter, will he even deliver? But if somebody actually says, hey, look, this guy's a good guy, they'll go, hey, look, I'll check it out. It's slow, and you just have to build out over time. Your first Kickstarter or your first whatever crowdfunding you do will be primarily friends and family. And that's okay, because they want to support you. They want to see you do well. But to be sustainable over time, you have to move away from friends and family to actual fans who are interested in your work. And the only way you can do it, and with social media and everything that's out there, it's fantastic, because look, I just got a text from a fan who bought one of my books, and she was like, oh my God, just read book 1, loved it, can't wait to read book 2. That's, the world's a lot smaller. You can look at it this way. You can tweet Donald Trump right now. Whether or not he reads or doesn't read it, you can tweet him and it'll pop up in his feed. And that's how small the world's got. So as a creator, God, get out there, use whatever means you can, and interact with people. And what you'll find is, as you interact, your brand will start to grow, and as well as your books will start to grow. And that's the best way to market. That's me. I think that's the absolute best way to market, and it takes time. And I wish I could give you a quick buy this product and it works everything. It's not. It's a slug.
Yeah, it is. And I'll add on to
Shaun, Kieran, you want to pick that one up?
I was going to say, this crowdfunding is not, once you get past that first one where you crowdfund it to the audience that are mostly friends and family, it becomes more of a pre-order system, I find. It's not about crowdfunding the project. It's more about pre-order, getting those people who enjoy that storytelling and enjoy your work to come back and pick up the next volume, the next issue, whatever it may be. I think that's a great way of looking at it as the time goes on.
Yeah, for me, I think that with marketing, the more you learn and put in will be how much you get out of it.
Mm-hmm.
If you do one email to a group of people and get 7 people on your email list, then that's all you're going to have, and that's how big your audience is going to be. But if you email once a fortnight to a list, create a landing page and build an audience, then you create a fan group. If you post regularly on Facebook, show that you can produce and finish something. I think that's the biggest thing and the hardest thing in indie comics is there are a lot of number ones. There are about 50% less number 2s, and then it goes down to about 5% in number 3s, and that's the ability to actually create and finish something. So in regards to marketing, it's a slow burn. You do get discouraged sometimes. It's all about the likes and the shares and the retweets and all that type of stuff, but you just got to kind of sometimes think outside the box of how you can reach certain fans, and you kind of need to understand who you're targeting. So for example, XCT's got a lot of MMA. It's a cross between the UFC. So I've focused a lot of my energy on trying to attract people that like that type of stuff. It's also got a history feel to it. So when I pitch it, I said before, if you like Vikings, Nightfall, that type of stuff, I'm trying to attract those people. So understanding who you're selling this to goes a long way in being able to market yourself.
Yeah.
That's it, really. Look, thanks to everyone from the chat. Thanks to Max, Quinton, Fallen Idols. Who else am I missing? We want to make sure I give a proper shout out. Darren.
There's 2 Darrens.
Both Darrens.
Brian,
Brian,
for
I don't know if
jumping
you're still
on.
there.
Yep, that's it. So, and
Uh,
Brad, he was on there as
yep.
well. So, yeah,
Zach,
thank you,
Brett,
Zach.
yeah.
Yeah, he's
Look,
gone. He's
thanks,
busy
guys.
lettering issue 4 at the moment, so put him under the whip. Get to work.
Brad, well, what are you doing here? Get back to work. Stop wasting your time listening to us. No, look, thank you guys so much. I appreciate everything. Look, thanks for coming on. Make sure you like, subscribe, please share the link around. We're trying to do this weekly, so if any of you guys want to come on board in the future, look, Kieran, we'd love to have you back another day.
Absolutely. Love
And anybody else who wants to come on, you're absolutely more than welcome to come on.
Yeah,
Sean, over to you.
Yeah, I was going to say I'll chuck a email into the post comments. If you are a creator, if you do have a Kickstarter on, or you would like to grow your audience, as we were just talking about, I would love to give you guys a platform. So I will put a email address that you can contact me at my business, and we can speak and organise a time to get you on. But thank you again, Kieran, for taking your time out. I know you do have a little one. It is late on a Sunday night with work tomorrow, so I really appreciate you taking the time to speak to us and be on our first episode.
No, thank you. I appreciate the time. It's been great to be able to talk to you both on the first episode, which is awesome. And I hope everyone can check out all of our Kickstarters that are going on at the moment.
Okay.
That's it.
See you guys.
Awesome, guys. See you later.
Peace.